The more we look to creatures to validate our work and our worth, the less satisfied we will become. Because even if you have the highest validation and recognition from the highest place a person could possibly stand, as long as recognition keeps coming from creatures, we will never be satisfied because it hasn't come from the Creator. Human beings seek recognition for one reason. Because we want validation of two things: our work and our worth. What we do and what we are. We want someone to look at us and say, that has value. Here's a critical concept that I hope everybody in the room will remember today. Look on the screen. I want you to remember this. Every person that has ever lived is in possession, think of it like an ownership, of a life that we want someone to look at and affirm as having value. So think about your life in like a glass case at a store. We want someone to look at that and say, oh, there's a life that has value. And so we're looking for someone to say, that has value, this does not. And listen, any time that a society stops looking to the maker as the only viable source of validation, guess what we do? We go to creatures. And we want creatures instead of the Creator to tell us, this has worth, this does not. So, back now to Peter and John. Listen, what did they possess that enabled them, when standing in front of thousands, to say, stop staring at me, as though my power did any of this? What did they possess that none of the rest of us seem to possess? Now, I would imagine that there might be an answer creeping up into your mind. It's probably the answer that I read about in like 10 different books and articles this week, and I'm going to challenge that answer. I would bet that somebody in here who is a thoughtful, conscientious person is probably thinking they already had all the validation they had from God. And that would be the wrong answer. That's not the answer. But that's the answer that progressive cultural Christianity is teaching the masses. Is that Christians don't need to seek their validation from man because they've gotten all their validation, all their attaboys, and they're so filled up because God has given them all the validation they could possibly need. That's not the answer the Bible gives. Let me tell you what Peter and John were actually in possession of that enabled them not to go down the path of endless recognition seeking like the people of their culture. The biblical answer to what they possessed and why they didn't seek recognition was that the life that they were in possession of was not their own. Think about this for a minute. Come on, think this through. No one seeks recognition for what belongs to someone else. While he, this formerly crippled man, clung to Peter and John, all the people, utterly astounded, ran together to them in the portico called Solomon's. And when Peter saw it, he addressed the people, "Men of Israel, why do you wonder at this? Or why do you stare at us, as though by our own power or piety we have made him walk?" Okay, let me show you these two things that he's not taking credit for and wants no credit for and rejects any acknowledgement for, okay? First one is a power. You're going to love this. I hope you love this. What word do you see in the word that's used here for power? Dynamite. That's where we got our word for dynamite. But what's interesting is that this word, where we get power, might, strength, whenever it's used, here's what, I just quoted this from Strong's Concordance. Here's the way the Bible uses this term. It's a power given through Peter's inherent abilities, Luke's inherent abilities. He owned it. It's his to do with it as he wishes. It's the Lord's. He owns it. Every time you look at something that anyone does, from Moses, whoa, big Moses, David, Solomon, Peter, John, it always belongs to the Lord. And that's the point. Peter's like, why in the world would you look at me as if I did something? It's Him. And the same goes for every single thing that you do in your life. If you're a dentist, a carpenter, a masonry, a stay-at-home mom, everything you do that you're like, why isn't anybody noticing me? Why did I get passed up for the raise? It's Him. It's Him that reserves the credit. As each has received a gift. You see your name in there, right? It's there. Each has received a gift. Use it to serve one another as good, say the word. That's where I got that, by the way. As good stewards of God's varied grace. It's not your gift. Whoever speaks, that's what I'm doing right now, as one who speaks oracles of God. It's not mine. I don't own this. It's His. Whoever serves, as one who serves by the strength or power that God supplies. And here's why Peter's saying this. In order that in everything, you see your line of work there? You see it there? In everything, God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To Him belongs. I'm so glad that word is there. To Him, say the word. Belongs. Who owns it? He owns it. To Him belongs glory and dominion forever and ever. And all God's people said, Amen. Do you see the clarity of what I'm telling you this morning? The life they were in possession of was not their own. That's what liberated them from constant recognition seeking. If you're the one who's constantly seeking recognition, then you just can't go to sleep at night because someone didn't like what you did. You haven't yet realized this. If you're a believer, the life you now live through the flesh is the life of Jesus. And it's on loan to you.